Did you also, while you were sitting home and you were a kid watching television, did you think, well, I think that game show host gig's a pretty good one. I want to do that.
No, not up front. I mean, I will say that the two television personalities that I remember being most entertained and most influenced by, and when you're 11 or 12, you don't realize you're being influenced. That doesn't come till later. But looking back, I realized that the two personalities I was the most influenced by were Johnny Carson and Bob Barker. And both of these guys were masters of being themselves on television. And when you work on television for a living, the most difficult note or the most difficult direction someone can give you is just be yourself. It's the hardest thing in the world to be. And I realized that when I started getting a little dose of television here locally in St. Louis, I realized that I did want to be on television. There was no question about that. I enjoyed the I can't lie. I enjoyed the attention. I enjoyed the boost in pay. But I knew I never wanted to be an actor. That was never what I set out to do. And when I, the whole move to Hollywood came from my signing on with E! Entertainment Television. And I spent 12 wonderful years on that network.
How many different game shows have you done?
Well, let's see. I did Hollywood Showdown. From Hollywood, we did 3 years of that. And then I went on to do 2 seasons of Whammy, the new Pressure Luck. And then I did a syndicated show for the Powerball Lottery called Instant Millionaire, which was seen in 38 states. And that was a really great show that unfortunately not a lot of people saw. But it gave me the opportunity to give away my first $1 million. We gave away $1 million every week. And for me, I'm fortunate that I get to do this every day for a living. But for the contestant, it's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. So when I started hosting through the eyes of the contestant and channeling into their excitement and their nervousness and all the energy that they exude while they're on that stage, it just really elevated my game to a whole new level and gave me a whole new appreciation for it.
Describe, if you can, going through the auditions or the audition or however it worked out on The Price is Right before they picked Drew Carey. Because you were down there with George Hamilton and a couple other people, and it was well documented that you guys were like in the Final Four, and it went to Drew Carey. But what did they have you do, or how did you go about competing, I guess is the word?
Well, it's funny, and I love that you phrased the question that way, because normally when people refer to that, it's always a very basic question.
Yeah.
Are you upset that you didn't get the job that Drew did? And then I say, no, I'm not upset, and then that kills the question. But you asked it perfectly, and my answer to that is, I had been doing the live stage version of The Price is Right. Which is coming to St. Louis, in October. I had been doing it at that point for 5 years. And I had pretty much taken myself out of the running for a lot of television productions that were coming up for a couple of reasons. The main reason being I wanted to hone my skills as the host of The Price is Right should Bob Barker ever decide to step down. I wanted to be at the top of my game. And at the time also, there weren't really a lot of television projects that I was interested in. I wasn't, I was getting too old now for the VH1 MTV stuff. And I wasn't interested ever in these reality shows where people get humiliated and hurt. And that wasn't my scene. So I went on the road pretty much nonstop hosting The Price is Right live, and I loved it. I absolutely loved it. We did Las Vegas and Kansas City and Atlantic City, and I just really got to hone my skills as a game show host. And there's no college for guys like me. There aren't really any schools for this. So this education that I was getting was invaluable at the time. And I remember I was doing the show in Atlantic City. Right around Halloween of, I guess it was 2006, when Bob announced his retirement, and I came off stage and I had countless text messages and emails and phone calls from people saying, okay, now's the time, and I remember my agents at William Morris, we really put together a full court press of saying, okay, this guy's not the biggest star in the world. He doesn't have the name value that some of these other guys may have, but he does it better than anyone else. And he's been out there doing it. The game show fans know who he is. So let's make this happen. And that's that, and my relationship with some people involved with the show really helped me get noticed when, the people that CBS was looking at were, the George Hamiltons and the Mario Lopez's and the John O'Hurleys and, people with some name value, which I totally understand. But when they finally weeded through a lot of the preliminary names, they chose a handful of us, like you said, to do a show on the stage at CBS in Hollywood. And, we did it in front of a live audience. They informed the audience that, Bob was not going to be there that day. Instead, your guest hosts are, and, they named the four of us. And I came out before the show. It's an old trick that I had learned from doing the stage show. I came out before the cameras were rolling, and I welcomed everyone and thanked them for being here. And I said, listen, I want you all to know that no one loves this show more than I do. I share this love for The Price is Right with all of you here today. And I'm thrilled that you're here to share this huge day in my life and my career with me. And I just want us all to have fun. And, basically I tried to establish a rapport with the audience before I came out so that when I walked through those doors, they weren't disappointed that they weren't seeing George Hamilton.
Gee, I thought you were taller.
That's right. That's right. And, the show did really well. I mean, my test show went great. I've only seen it for the first time about 6 months ago, but I'm really proud of it. And I got called back to do a second one. And at that point, I think they were pretty much just talking to me and Mark Steinis from Entertainment Tonight. And then Drew Carey entered the picture. And look, I completely understand, getting a name in there. And, the show has done just fine since he's been at the helm. And, I got to walk through those magical doors, not once, but twice. And I'm one of a handful of men that will be able to say that, he's hosted The Price is Right on the Bob Barker stage in Hollywood. So, I have no regrets about anything in my career, certainly not that. And obviously I don't hold any bitterness. What good would it do me? And it's just been, it's been a wonderful journey, and that was certainly a huge part of it.